Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Javier. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be looking at the mod Gendustry, which is another add-on mod for the forestry mod. This is on 1.12.2 that we're looking at today. And basically what this mod does is it adds all of these machines which help you with your bee breeding and tree breeding. And it also adds this really clever industrial apiary, which makes life so much easier. And it adds these cool new items. Basically, Gendustry is here to make forestry and specifically bee breeding so much easier. It was such a long process, especially if you've got add-on mods involved. Well, now it's going to be super duper easy. This mod is updated, and this tutorial is for 2022 and onwards, so it's super up to date. So there are these extra bits and bobs that you're going to need. First up is the mutagen tank, which is 6 tin, 3 on each side, and 3 glass panes in the middle. Then you have the bee receptacle, which is a weighted pressure plate, and 2 redstone, some bronze ingots, and a glass pane. Then you have the power module, which is 2 pistons, 2 gold ingots, and 4 bronze gears. Genetics processor, which is 4 diamonds in the corners, 2 redstone, an ender pearl, and 2 nether quartz. And then there's the environmental processor, which is the same, but 4 lapis with a gold in the middle. And then you have the upgrade frame, which is what we're going to be using for these upgrades for the industrial apiary. That is 4 tin, 2 gold nuggets, and 2 redstone. The climate control module, which is 6 bronze, a bronze gear, and 2 redstone. And that is pretty much it, actually. So you've got the industrial grafter that has 200 charges, and that is 3 diamonds, a normal grafter, and a power module. You can obviously charge this however you like. And then you've got the Scooperator MX200 Turbo, which is a diamond, a scoop, and the power module. And these are the exact same, but, you know, super duper versions. Then you have the blank gene samples, and this is going to be used, as you can see here, like for tree species and secluded, you know, got flower samples and bee samples and all of that cool stuff. So basically what this does is you're going to use these to basically extract the DNA from your bee, and it gets you one of the chromosomes out of 13 possible different chromosomes for each bee, but we're going to go through that later. And that is simply 4 tin ingots and a redstone. Then you have some genetics labware. You're going to need this in a lot of machines. That is 4 glass panes and a diamond. That gets you 16. And these are used pretty slowly. So if you're low on diamonds, don't worry too much. Then you have a pollen collection kit, which is just a piece of string, a piece of paper, and genetics labware. And that is how you can actually get your pollen from mutated tree leaves a bit easier. So it doesn't add any new bees, technically, but it does add these coloured cones. So you've got black, orange, white, blue, lime, yellow, brown, light grey, light blue, purple, pink, magenta, red, cyan, grey, and green. And if you look how you get these, it comes from a green bee. And it does say it's from forestry. However, that's actually a lie. It's added by the Gendustry mod, not the forestry mod itself. And you can see in here, you know, using JEI, how to breed these, etc. Okay, so that's all the items that it adds. Now we're going to go on to the industrial apiary. So the industrial apiary is made simply with 4 pieces of glass, any colour, a bee receptacle, a sturdy casing, which is 8 bronze, and a piston at the bottom and 2 bronze gears. And this is basically a more advanced apiary, and it's powered by redstone flux. So if we go in here, you can see I'm powering it. You put your princess and your drone in here like normal. These 4 slots are actually for upgrades, and then this is where you get the output here. And you can say always on, enable on redstone, disable on redstone, or disabled, etc. And then also if it's not working, it will tell you why here. So the upgrades that you can get for it are here. So the cool thing about the industrial apiary is it can emulate different things. So rather than having to breed your bee so that it can tolerate different climates and things like that, what you can do is just get the upgrades for the industrial apiary instead. And then you don't have to mess about with your bee. So it kind of takes all that worry away if you don't really want to get into all of that. So you have the plains emulation, which is going to be a climate control module, 4 bronze gears, 2 grass, an upgrade frame, and an environmental processor. And then you have the ocean emulation. That's the exact same, but with 2 buckets of water. The winter emulation, which is the same, but 2 pieces of snow. The hell emulation, but with 2 pieces of blaze powder. The desert emulation, which is 2 sand. And lastly, the jungle emulation, which is 2 vines. And how these work is they're all the same, apart from For example, it overrides the biome that it's in. So if you have a bee that only works in the Nether or Hell, you can put this Hell emulation upgrade into the industrial apiary, and your bee will think it's in Hell, and therefore it'll work even if it's in a plains biome. So that's really, really cool. It does add the energy consumption by 50%, but it's totally worth it. And you can only have one installed maximum, and there is 4 slots for these, by the way. So then you have the light upgrade, and that means that it will be light 24/7. So if your bees don't work at night, no problem, because you can have a light upgrade in there, so they'll work around the clock. And that is made with simply 4 glass, an upgrade frame, and floor glowstone. Then you've got the flowering upgrade. That adds 20% to flowering and pollination, and you can have up to 8 in there installed. And that is only 4 slots, remember, but these do stack. And each one will add 10% energy consumption. That is a green, blue, and red dye, 2 yellow dye, an upgrade frame, and 3 glass at the bottom. Then we have the open sky upgrade. So when your bees, want an open sky, you can add this in, adds 5% energy consumption, and this will simulate an open sky. So, usually it's just your rocky bees that can be underground or under a roof. Well, who cares of this? Because now all your bees can. So you can have them in a building, basically, or underground. Then you've got the dryer upgrade. That'll actually take off some humidity, and you can have up to 8 of these. That's 3 sand at the top, 4 bronze, which is 2 on each side, some stained glass and an upgrade frame. And then you also have obviously the opposite, which is the humidifier, and that is a sand, but with 3 sugarcane at the top. Then you have the sieve, which is going to collect pollen, and you can only have one of these, adds 25% energy consumption, and it's just loads of silk wisps, which, by the way, are from silky propolis in a centrifuge. Then you have the territory one, which means they're going to pollinate, etc., in a higher radius, and that is literally just 4 iron in the corners and an upgrade frame. Then we have the pollen scrubber, which I think is fantastic. You may have seen when you're using forestry and doing all your bees that you end up with flowers everywhere, and it can be a bit annoying sometimes, actually. What this pollen scrubber will do is it will actually bring flowering and pollination minus 100%. And they won't pollinate any local flowers. However, if you're trying to do your tree breeding, they're not also going to pollinate trees, so you won't get those being bred. So if you do want to breed trees, make sure you don't have one of these installed. Then we have the lifespan upgrade, which you can install up to 4 of, and it will greatly reduce the lifespan. So if you're trying to mutate your bees, you can just whip them in and out with this. And that is made with 2 fermented spider's eyes, 3 glass, and an upgrade frame. And a seal upgrade means that when it's raining, they don't care anymore. Fantastic, because the water doesn't get in. And that protects them from the rain. 4 beeswax for that, some glass in the corners, in the middle bits, and then an upgrade frame, and then a genetic stabilizer, which gets rid of genetic decay by 100%, which means ignoble bees will no longer decay. Fantastic. That is a genetics processor, 3 redstone, and an upgrade frame. Then we have the heater upgrade, which, you guessed it, heats, and each one gives 25% more temperature. That is 3 netherrack at the top, a piece of glass on the bottom, 4 bronze on the sides, and an upgrade frame there. Then the cooler upgrade does the opposite. It cools it by 25% for each one. 3 snowballs at the top, 2 bronze there, 2 bronze there, upgrade frame, and a piece of glass. And lastly is the production upgrade, and this is my favourite. Each one of these adds 20% production. And they do also add 20% energy consumption, however, but you can install 8 of these. This is a fantastic way to get more production from your bees. For example, for royal jelly and pollen clusters. I think I'm going to try to make an apiary, for example. And these are 1 royal jelly at the top, so you do need to get your industrious bees to start this. 2 sugar, 4 bronze ingots, and a bronze gear, and an upgrade frame. That's probably the most useful one. So that is everything for the industrial apiary. Again, very, very useful. Next up, we're going to go through all the machines. So you have the mutagen producer, the mutatron, the advanced mutatron, the genetic sampler, the genetic imprinter, the protein liquifier, the DNA extractor, the genetic replicator, and the genetic transposer. And I'm going to take you through all of those now, starting off with the mutagen producer. So I'm actually going to show you guys this from my single player world that I've actually been on, so you can see it in a bit more of a real environment. I think that's definitely a better way to show it. Let me know in the comments if you like it that way. And if you haven't already, guys, please do click that subscribe button. It really helps me out. I post every single week on a Friday at 4 p.m. BST. So, first up, the mutagen producer. Now, this has 5 million RF storage, and every time you use this, it's going to use 1 million RF, so it is quite power hungry, and it also cannot be sped up. So as you can see here, I am producing mutagen from redstone, and this arrow is filling up. You can't make it go any faster than that. It's horrific. But the way you can make it faster is by, rather than using 1 redstone, you can use redstone blocks, and that'll make 8 times the amount, but at the same speed, so it's technically 8 times more efficient. Now you can use glowstone or redstone in here, and this is going to produce mutagen. You can't see it because I'm pulling it out into my applied energistic system. Then we're going to go through the mutatron and the advanced mutatron. So generally, I would just go straight in for the advanced one. The mutatron is 2 bronze ingots, a mutagen tank, 2 B receptacles, a power module, a genetics processor, and a sturdy casing. Sorry, 3 B receptacles. And then the advanced mutatron, which is what I'm going to be showing you, and I will go through the differences, of course. 4 bronze gears in the corners, 2 genetics processors, the mutatron that you will have to make first, and a power module and a piece of quartz. So the mutatron basically mutates bees and trees. So what you do is you put your princess in the top and your drone in the bottom of the ones you want to mutate. Power it, of course. Pump in some mutagen, which you would have made in your mutagen producer, as shown a minute ago. And then this is going to mutate 2 bees. You also need to put some genetics labware in the top. Labware can be pumped in via the sides of the machines. Princesses need to go in the top, as do the tree saplings. And drones have to go into the bottom. And ignoble bees, by the way, have a chance to die in the process. So as usual, as I always do, I advise to only use pristine princesses when you're doing this. Your ignoble ones could die and not actually survive the process. When this outputs here, it will actually produce the queen. And if you're doing it with a tree, it will produce the sapling. And with the tree, you want to put your sapling in here and the pollen in here that you want to mutate. The advanced one adds this selection here. For example, if you're mutating a common and a cultivated, the normal mutatron will do either way, a noble or a diligent. It could go either way. Whereas with the advanced mutatron, you can pick the output here. It will come up here, which one would you want to use, and you click which one you want to mutate, and it'll do it for you. So that's why I would always just go straight in with the advanced mutatron. It's definitely a lot better. And also, the advanced mutatron actually goes twice as fast, too. But it does take more power. Next up, we're going to be going through the genetic sampler and the genetic imprinter. The genetic sampler is 4 bronze gears in the corners, a genetics processor at the top, a B receptacle on the left, a sturdy casing in the middle, and a diamond. What the genetic sampler does is, you want to take some gene samples, blank ones that is, and genetics labware here in the top, and then from bees, trees, or butterflies, it's going to use 200,000 RF per operation, and it's going to use up 1 each of these. And you put your bee in here, for example, let's put in our common drone, and you can see here it's going to power along, and it's going to randomly select one of the chromosomes, so one of the traits, randomly, of the creature you've put in the input slot, whether that's a sapling, a butterfly, or a bee. And then what you can see here is we've got here, tolerates rain, false. So it's random, and you are going to have to use a lot of them, generally, to get the ones you want. For example, if you're looking for a tolerates rain true one, and obviously your bee has to have that, you are probably going to want to put in like 10 or 20 and hope that you at some point get that trait, because it could be the species, the pollination, the flower it likes, etc. It could be any of those. And it does kill the drone that you use, so if that's your only one, don't do it. Make sure you have a big backup of those drones and just shove a load in, output them to a chest or something, and then just come back in half an hour and you're generally going to have all the ones you want. And it also does have an internal buffer of 1 million RF here. So you can see you've got our genetic B sample there for tolerating rain. Then we're going to go over to the genetic imprinter. And that is made again with 4 bronze gears in the corners, 2 B receptacles, a sturdy casing, a power module, and a genetics processor. And when we go in here, again, it's going to need some genetics labware. And what this does is it replaces traits of a species using a genetic template. For example, I'm going to put my industrious drone in here, and then I'm going to use this genetic template, which has tolerates rain false in it. And by the way, what you want to do is, this one already has it in, so it's not going to technically work. You would put a blank genetic template in here with the sample you have, and then it will give you that out. You can put this in a crafting table and you can fill it with all 13 chromosomes. It doesn't matter, however, if you only say you want to imprint your bee with 1. So depending on what you put in, if you put in a genetic template that has all 13 filled, it's going to put all of those 13 in the bee. If the ones that are left out, so for example here, we're only changing the rain tolerating chromosome, it's only going to change that particular chromosome into your bee. And then voila, our industrious drone comes out with that new trait, which I'm pretty sure it already had, but still, you get the point. And that is the genetic imprinter. Again, the genetic template won't be consumed with this, but it will replace all of the traits that are present in the template at once. Ignoble stock, again, have a chance not to survive the process, so I'd always use pristine. Next up, we're going to go through the genetic transposer. And what this does is you can put a blank template in here and then a template you already have here, and that's going to copy the template into another one. Even though these aren't used up, you can then make more of them, basically. So if you need loads of these genetic templates, you can do that here. And the way you make a genetic transposer is with 4 bronze gears, a bronze ingot, a sturdy casing, and 2 genetics processors. So not as useful, that one. And then lastly, we have these 3 machines. So the protein liquifier, the DNA extractor, and the genetic replicator. So the protein liquifier, you're going to want to put some RF in here with some meat, any kind of meat, and it's basically going to make liquid protein. This is made with 4 bronze gears, a power module, a sturdy casing, 2 pistons, and a hopper. You're then going to want to put that liquid meat, or liquid protein even, into your genetic replicator. Here I'm using Ender.io Ender fluid conduits. Then you're also going to want to get a DNA extractor, and for example here I'm going to put in my industrious drone. It's going to use redstone power, of course. It's going to use redstone flux, of course, some labware, and you're going to get some DNA. Slowly but surely, that's being pulled out into my genetic replicator. To make the DNA extractor, you are going to again want 4 bronze gears, a power module, a sturdy casing, 2 genetics processors, and a hopper. And again, I'm putting that into my genetic replicator. How you make the genetic replicator is 4 bronze gears, 2 genetics processors, 2 power modules, and a sturdy casing. And if we look inside here, we can see that it's got loads of liquid DNA and protein. And this is going to use 1 bucket of liquid DNA and 5 buckets of liquid protein. What you do is here, you're going to want to get a genetic template. And you can see here, this one won't go in because in here, in the genetic replicator, you need every single chromosome filled. So you need all 13 out of 13 chromosomes filled. And with a full genetic template, you put that in here and it will then output an actual bee. So that is how, from a template, you can clone bees. However, they will always be ignoble. You will never get a pristine bee by doing it this way. But if you don't care about that, and especially with the genetic stabilizer upgrading your industrial apiaries, you don't really have to care that they're ignoble, but still, I always like to go pristine because I'm a bit of a bee snob. But that is how you can actually clone your bees. So that is it, guys. That is the Gendustry mod for forestry. I hope you enjoyed. Again, do give this video a like if it was helpful. If there's anything I can improve on, please let me know in the comments down below. And feel free, of course, to join our Discord where we have some other modded players. And don't forget to subscribe.